That's the NFC playoffs. The AFC playoffs aren't very intriguing. The NFC is a lot more intriguing in my mind. I mean, the Patriots look crummy. The Chiefs have Patty Mahomes. Lamar Jackson's out there for the Ravens. Other than that, like, did the Texans really draw you? Not really. Titans, Steelers really draw you? Not really. I mean, the Patriots aren't even fun to watch this year. You really got two teams in the AFC that really draw you. However, the NFC, there are 7 teams in the NFC right now that are vying for playoff spots. Number 1 seeds all the way through. Right now, San Francisco sits up top, 11-2, followed by Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans, who all have 10. Saints have clinched a playoff spot already. They're the only ones in the NFC to clinch a playoff spot. There are 4 teams with 10 or more wins in the NFC. The AFC has 2, including the Patriots and the Ravens. The AFC is deeper itself with more 5 and 6 win teams, where the NFC, you have the Giants, the Redskins, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Falcons, who are all pretty terrible. The AFC really only has the Dolphins and the Bengals and the Jaguars, who are terrible. Well, I guess it's 3-4. But let's look a little bit deeper at the numbers for the NFC. Everybody loves the Green Bay Packers. First teams, I'm going to go on a very specific stat for the NFC about teams that they've played other good teams. Green Bay has only played 4 games against teams over 500. They're 3-1. Very, very good record against teams over 500. Again, they've played 4. The opponent's record is 36-16 for a 69% win percentage. And one of those 4 games was against the Kansas City Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. The Packers do have 2 games remaining against teams over 500, and that's the Vikings and Bears the next 2 weeks. The New Orleans Saints have played 5 games against teams over 500. They are they're 3-2. The opponent's win record is 44-21 for 68%. However, they played 3 of those 5 games with a backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, who you guys know my thoughts on him. He's going to be a $30 million a year quarterback next year. And they have 1 left the rest of the year against a team over 500. The Seattle Seahawks have played 7. They've played the most out of anybody. They've played 7. They're 4-3 against teams over 500, including a huge win in San Francisco. Their opponents' records are 65-26 for a 71% win percentage. They have 1 left, so they'll play a total of 8 this year. That 1 left is the 49ers, the last game of the year. The Philadelphia Eagles, they've played 6. They're 3-3 in those 6. The opponent's record is 55-23 for a win percentage of 71%. And they do not have any left. They will finish the season playing 6 games against teams that are over 500. When they, currently, as of right now, obviously this can all change, especially with the Packers playing the Bears. A lot of these teams have played the Bears, and they lose this week. They're not over 500. They're 7-7. So they're no longer counted. So I'm doing it as of week 14. The San Francisco 49ers have also played 6 games against teams over 500. They're 4-2 with both losses coming on last second as time expires field goals against Ravens and Seattle. Opponent's record is 57-21 for a NFC best 73% win percentage. And they will also finish with 8 games versus teams over 500. Well, they get the Rams next week and Seattle the last week of the year. So San Francisco and Seattle will have your most at 8. Green Bay will have 6. New Orleans will have 6. Philly will have 6. And then the 2 teams in the playoff hunt that we have not mentioned yet. The Dallas. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody knows the Dallas Cowboys are 0-6 against teams that have a winning record. Dallas does have one left. They do get one more crack, chat. They get one more crack to get that win over a winning team. Their opponents' combined record in those 6 games, 55-23 for a 71%. So it is the second highest, hardest, I guess, over 500 record in the league behind the 49ers. But they are 0-6. And just like Lamar Jackson, and this is what I don't get. Okay, so Dak Prescott gets absolutely hammered because he beats up on bad teams and doesn't do well against good teams, right? The difference is they don't win games. But his stats are very comparable to Lamar Jackson's. Good teams versus bad teams. It's just Lamar wins games. Lamar's defense is better than the Cowboys' defense. And don't get me wrong, I'd rather have Lamar than Dak Prescott. I'm not saying I wouldn't. Dak Prescott's about to get paid $35 million a year, and he probably shouldn't be paid more than like $25, in my opinion. He has all the weapons in the world. They've got arguably the second or third best running back. They've got a top 10 wide receiver. They've got another top 20, 25 receiver in Michael Gallup. He doesn't have a tight end. He's got a good offensive line. He's got no coach. And he himself is not that great. He throws for a ton of yards. He's basically Jameis Winston 2.0. He's just not exciting as Jameis Winston. But Dallas is 0-6. And the last team that is alive for a playoff berth, I mean, technically the Bears are still alive, Chad. Technically. We're not going to talk about them. It's the Minnesota Vikings. And for all of the smack and crap that the Dallas Cowboys get, for their 0-6 record against teams with a winning record, you have the Minnesota Vikings, who right now have 4 losses on the year. All 4 losses are against teams over 500 currently. And Chad, how many wins do you think they have against teams over 500? If you guessed 1, you're wrong. It's 0. Minnesota Vikings are 0-4 against teams with a winning record currently. For 36-16 record they have for 69%. Not only are they 0-4, they have the lowest, tied for the lowest percentage. They do get 2 more chances, though. They do get 2 more chances. They get the Packers and the Bears the last 2 weeks of the year. The Bears, my guess, won't be over 500 at that point. But for all of the talk that the Dallas Cowboys get for just beating up on bad teams, Minnesota is 0-4 against teams with a winning record. And I don't see them beating the Packers. At most, they're going to be 1-5. Let's take a look at who they've beat. The Atlanta Falcons, the Oakland Raiders, the New York Giants, the Eagles, the Lions, the Redskins, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and the Lions. There are so many teams that feast on bad teams, but for whatever reason, the national media never brings up the Minnesota Vikings. So here on the Simon's 11 show, we're going to give you your due, Minnesota. How about you go out there and beat a dang team over 500 before we even consider talking about you winning a playoff game